Step 1A is attaching the zip to the front of the right trouser. Line up the zip topside down to the notch and/or mark we made and baste it in place. When we place it down, we need to place the bottom stop of the zip a small amount above the notch. Align the fly guard, lining up the notches right side to right side with the zip in between, moving its lining or silicia out of the way. Baste it or not, but know where the notches are and make sure they're aligned. Step 1A is attaching the fly to the left trouser. Lay them right side to right side or correct side to the correct side. Align their notches and pin or baste it in place. Or not, whatever. With the right trouser with the bearer, sew the three together with a 1/2 cm seam allowance. Sew them together from the notch with the lining facing up. Chalking the notch on clearly would help. We might need to move the zip head out of the way, but we can just sew out of the top of the trouser. Machine the fly and the left trouser together with a 1/2 cm seam allowance. Or, I would suggest you try and make a small centimeter seam allowance. So if you can make a consistent 7 or 8 mm seam, that might be better. It will become a centimeter seam when we fold the fly over. Start right on the notch with the linen up this time. Once again, we can sew off the top of the trouser. Remove the basting, give the seams a press. Cut the notch to the stitching and trim away half of the fly seam all the way up. Iron the seam towards the trouser from above the notch. Fold the seam over such that the seam is on the inside of the trouser, which should be easy given the combination of how we cut and ironed the seam allowance. Holding in position, i.e. with the seam about 1 mm from the edge, baste it in place to a little above the notch. If you're happy with it, press the seam to give it a solid crease to hold it in place. For the zip, again, get rid of the basting and press the seam flat. From the notch, roll the trouser towards the zip teeth and baste it down 1 mm or so from there, such that the zip still works, moving the silicia behind it out of the way so that you aren't catching it at all here. Testing that the zip does still work. Cut through the front fabric at the notch, only cut through the front fabric, cut to where it's folded on the zip.